Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Cool.
we can see it.
So to introduce myself, I have been working in different companies, both as part of the company and both as an external contractor. And at the moment, I'm a senior UX designer at Grundfos, which is a Danish company creating pump systems for both commercial, industrial, and house owner uses. And I would like to talk about how to collaborate in a company where designers are separated between product designers, or as we call them, divisional designers, and platform designers who are creating the different design systems and experiences. So to talk about like the overview of my presentation would be understanding the roles, the need for collaboration, challenges in the collaboration, and a case study on how in the last couple of months we tried to work out the kinks and make a better collaboration between the different parts of the company. So understanding the roles is in my experience, platform in the platform design is someone who creates an end-to-end design solution, kind of a holistic experience. And in the case of Grundfos, for example, because we have different products, it's licensing or software update or login and some very company specific solutions. Then our platform designers also create components, and as we all know, these are the reusable design elements like Lego blocks to build a house, to be a bit Danish. And they also maintain the design system, standardize the practices, create continuous improvement, and define general behavior, which helps us in a company of 20 designers to have a consistent user experience. And there are a couple of challenges faced by our platform designers. There are limited time for them to actually participate in product meetings, so they have a lack of context on what is the actual use case that they need to provide for. And also there are communicational gaps because with the large-scale design systems we have, sometimes we don't really remember if a component is missing something or if a component has a specific need. Then there are alignment with different product needs, which because there are so different experiences with the different customers and the different pump systems, so the requirements are very diverse, and the customization and the consistency is really hard to bring together as a platform designer, because oftentimes only one product needs a certain element. And there's also very quick delivery times where there is pressure on delivery, as some of the products need immediate changes, but that leads to compromised quality because we can't really focus on figuring out the details. And also, there is a lack of initial UX design in some of the products, as this company has been on the market for 30 something years. So they kind of on the go develop their digital solutions. So often, again, there were no UX involved in the initial process. It was developed by developers. So overcoming all the legacy issues and picking out all the places where the platform design need to unify the visuals is a challenge. On the other side, there are divisional designers who actually talk with the users, talk with the wide variety of stakeholders, such as business, software development, Linux team, front-end development. They are the ones having to work with user research, creating personalized user stories, all the flows, creating all the micro interactions, and testing the actual accessibility on the different kind of platforms. And they are the ones also using the design systems and the components and customizing and adapting it to the best possible way. And these two teams kind of need to collaborate. So challenges that a divisional designer face is that sometimes it's hard to work with the components because there are limited options, and it doesn't really fulfill all the needs that our users require. And we spend a lot of time trying to make workarounds and compromises. Then also sometimes the turnover for a change request is very slow, and it creates delayed implementation. For example, we have been in a phase when we are delivering a product, a new product to the market, and we have quite a problem with getting components into the design system that will fulfill the need of this product. And then there are also can be a problem of not enough clear definitions of do's and don'ts, which creates ambiguity and also ends up with hacking kind of the design system, because you as a designer see that oh, in this component I can add any kind of icon, but it's actually not the truth because there was no initial guidelines. It can also be a challenge if there's no communication on certain parts of the E2E solutions, and a divisional team actually recreates an experience that already exists just because there was a lack of information. Then, of course, on the other side, there's all unclear requirements from business or frequent changes, which again leads to just wasting time and resources. And then, of course, time pressure and deadlines, and that leads to burnout and stress. So the similarities between these two roles are that they both would like to create user-centered design. They both would like to fulfill the needs of the user and create the best possible solution. And there's a strong need for collaboration, and they both focus on consistency. So the user has a product where they actually can get familiar, and in any part they use, or any platform they use, they will recognize the patterns. So, oh, I went. So I am at Grundfos. I am a divisional designer, and I work with a certain product. But I have been also in my previous project. I have been creating components. I have been fulfilling both roles. I faced issues when the legacy experiences made a very weird experience where there was a legacy platform, and then my team and I created a design system. Then we had a facelift, and then the whole experience for this platform was three different kind of visuals. So that's why I'm very keen on always creating this kind of a collaboration between all the designers in the company, so we can create a very cohesive experience and enhance the value of the company as well. So benefits for the collaboration. There are, of course, multitude of benefits to it, but it's one of the things is that when you separate creating a design system and also designers who actually work on a product, then you save a lot of resource and time, because platform designers are experts of creating standardized components, and they are experts on creating all the experiences. They are experts on creating interactions, while then the divisional designers can actually focus on creating user flows and user journeys and creating the experience itself. They don't need to maintain a design system. They don't need to spend time on organizing components. Then it also nurtures knowledge and innovation, because then the more people look at the design, the more people check it, the easier it is to find mistakes, or easier to find the discrepancies. And it's kind of a double checking system, where after designing a solution, the platform designers can come and check if everything is up to standard. There's also a possibility to early identification of problems. So sometimes, especially with the need of accessibility now and all the inclusive design, it helps to identify problems by just trying it out on the different kind of platforms. So again, if there is a feedback loop coming from an actual user of the design system, it's quick to identify all those problems that we would have to spend a lot of time later on fixing. As I mentioned, it also helps with efficiency, because different people with different knowledge can focus on the part that they are the best at. And it also creates a sense of unity and a shared purpose, where we can have collaborative meetings, and we all feel that we add to furthering the future of the company. Now, there are, of course, challenges in this collaboration, which is, in a one short sentence, too many cooks in one kitchen, because we often experienced in the past, before we created a new collaboration model, that we were having a hard time figuring out who is actually working on what. And also, there can be a problem of creating new components, for example, or creating an update to a component and releasing it at the first time. This was something we faced actually recently, because our platform designers created a new component, and we had to update it on 120 pages. And it took a lot of time and resource that was not really counted in the project before. So that was one of the reasons also that we spent some time and looked at how can one collaborate between so many people better. So this is kind of the case study of how we created a collaboration matrix by describing all the vertical, and then the contributors, and then the contribution levels. So if we look at it a little bit closer, then we have 5 design verticals, and that means the different levels of the product. So the base one is the foundation, and it is for our brand and design language and principles, colors, typography, spacing, all the core features. And this is created by the core team. Then we have a larger focus, and that's the basic elements, where it's more componentized, so it's more not just a hex number, but also the color token in Figma, or the typography token. So it's all the tokens, all the UI kits, and in Grundfos we work with different platforms. So we have a smartphone platform, we have a desktop platform, and we have a large touchscreen platform as well. So each platform has a design system and or a UI kit, and they have their own responsible person for it. Then we have platform experiences, where we manage the different products. That's where all the user stories live, all the user journeys live. That's where all the design principles are created. Then we have the app platforms, and this is where actually the coded version of the UI kit lives for each digital platform. And this is kind of what we decided, that's the design system that platform design is responsible for. And then we have the custom as the 5th element to the verticals. And this one is all the individual products related to the company, and all the experiences, all the features, all the components, and they are living in the local project files, and fulfills the guidelines from the platform, and they are not part of platform design. But if multiple products would need the same component, then they can be elevated into the platform. So if we look at the contributors, Then we have our core team, and their area is to develop the main elements, and they establish and govern the basic principles. Then we have our experience team, and they are responsible for the experiences, and they define the strategy for products, and they also document all the experience requirements for the platform and delivery teams. And they are also the ones who cultivate the cross-platform collaboration. Then we have app platforms, and these are responsible for maintaining and creating the UI kit. And they define all the guidelines for the basic components, and they are also the ones responsible for all the change requests. They are also responsible if someone needs something new. And then we have our delivery teams, which is the part of the divisional designers. And they are the ones who actually go out to the users, and they are the ones who pushing the boundaries for new modifications. For example, they are the ones who look at all the components and say, "Hey, this doesn't fulfill what I need to do." They are not flexible enough, or oh, we need now password component. We need something a little bit different. So that's the last part of the contributors. Then we decided that that after breaking down the whole designer team into these smaller blocks, then and all the features that need to be worked with, then we created this collaboration matrix. And in this one, we actually looked at, okay, who is responsible for what part, who is responsible for the foundation. So the core team is the one who is responsible for foundation, and they also collaborate with branding, as it is very important for the company to be recognizable in every aspect. So they are the ones creating also like navigations and the overall colors. Then they are also accountable for basic elements, and they also listen and help with the unified experiences, and they also help with the app platform with reviews, and they also look into the actual product. Then we have the experience team, who contribute in the foundation and use the foundation, then they are the ones who actually create the basic elements. Then they also unify, co-accountable with the unified experiences, and they review and listen at the actual products and the platforms. Then we have the platform designers, and they use the basic elements, the foundations, the experiences, and they are the ones who actually create all the UI kit, like as we talked about. Then we have the delivery teams, and that's where we as part of the delivery team use all these, and I'm accountable for all the custom features. So to create this, we have created a system of bi-weekly reviews, and it really helped, because with some oftentimes we had the problem of not listening to each other, or platform, instead of being the one who enables the design team, we had to defend a change, or had to fight for something that we needed to create, which again really slowed down the process. And there was also this situation when we first started to figure out how to work with this. We got kind of an experience that if you need a custom situation, if you need a component that we can't provide for you, then you build your own, and it will live in your project file. And if we need it, then we will deliver it to the platform. But later on, we learned that the developers are actually having a huge problem, because for them, creating an extra component is a waste of time. So to create all the cohesive experiences, our developers are constantly asking for using the components from the platform. So now we have kind of figured out how to make things work a bit more, and also we created contribution levels, because sometimes we had a really tight schedule and didn't really had the time to collaborate. So we have now the contribution levels, where we can create a small contribution, send just a feedback or idea. It doesn't have to be really expanded. Or we can create a medium contribution, where we actively create a new foundational element, or a branch in Figma for the new proposal, or make a large contribution where we are creating an actual new component or a new platform feature. And this method really helped us, because now we feel that everyone has a place where we can turn and look at the guidelines and know where to actually go. So if I want to go about the contribution process in details, and I would like to ask if you can actually see, because it's very tiny. I don't know if I can zoom in somehow. Yeah, I can a bit. So this is how the process now in details is that you, as a designer from divisional, have an idea. You want a new element, or you want new app platform, or you want to enhance something. Then you can, or actually you want to report a bug. That's also a possibility. Then you find in this matrix the right member of the team, the platform team, and create an agreement of what is needed to have what you actually need. Then create a change request in Jira, and we created a new structure for this in Jira where all these verticals and teams and contribution levels are clearly explained and selectable. So a very quick glance, you would know that, okay, this is something I need to look at immediately, or it can be prioritized in a later time. And then the platform team evaluates the change request and discuss the delivery timeline. And it is also actually very important that we set a certain amount of time that the platform team can spend on evaluating, because as I mentioned in the beginning, they are under a lot of time pressure. So they have to plan ahead to fulfill all their tasks. So sometimes things got lost, or they didn't get back to us in multiple weeks, or there was some broken chain in the delivery process. So it is now said that we have 5 days, and if they have to actually respond in 5 days. So it's important to set a timeline for all these evaluations. Then after it's accepted, then discussion of delivery timelines are made, and then the extent of contribution is agreed on, because it's still, if they have the time and they decide to drive the change, then it's their job to contribute. But now we created a solution for custom elements by having added a custom function to all our components. So the actual design teams can create a custom element and agree if it's gonna be migrated to platform. So it also helps speeding up the process, because whoever has more time can contribute, and it's not that platform gatekeeps. Then also it can be that you need a new custom experience, and no one has the time for it, or is it very specific to the platform you are working on? So you create this customer element and you actually maintain it. or also all other ideas can be discussed, but because of the possibility to make it into a bracket of this is just a general idea, we don't need to waste time on prioritization. So all in all, what we learned in my company, and also I learned, oh, sorry. Okay, it just goes there. Yeah. So what we learned during this process, it is very important on a large scale organization to very, very closely communicate and create very stable and thought through structures, because it's very easy to waste a lot of time on all of this back and forth until one figures out something. And I don't know actually how many of you work in a team where it's over 20 people, but it's something that's very important even in a smaller companies where there are just a couple of designers to keep the communication and keep the contribution in a very tight level, because resources and time is very, very important. And I think I finished earlier than I planned. Maybe I was speaking very fast. Sorry about that.
That's okay, Gabby. Thank you so much.